So welcome to our third, I believe, online Viva breakout session. So I'm Sheila Massand. I'm here on my own. My partner, Viva partner, Sue Coltman, is away on holiday, somewhere exotic on a barge, I believe. So I'm here just to give a quick introduction to our fabulous speakers today. Both Kjetil, I'm sorry if I've completely mashed your name, Kjetil Haugmo from Norway, with my English accent, and Ian Watson, who sits in, I forgot where you are, Devon, is it in England? No, not Devon anymore.
Sussex.
Sussex, sorry. Sussex in England. So both of them have been Viva speakers for us in the past at the Viva event that we have every year at the beginning of November. And they are both going to be speakers again for us this year. So they're part of the 18 people team for Viva 2025. So I'm just going to very briefly introduce them, just in case you don't know. You might know one, you might not know the other. And I have printed out their bios here. So I'm just going to read a little bit because I don't want to miss anything out that's important. So Ian Watson is an educator, he's a writer, he's a trainer, whose work has been based on the three principles understanding since 2011, following a lifelong career in the field of holistic healing and personal transformation. So Ian became widely known as a speaker and author in homeopathy, which he taught and practiced for 15 years.
I think the sound is lost. Or
Yeah, I lost you too.
yeah. Still.
You became strangely muted, Sheila.
Still no sound.
Something's happened with your microphone, I think. Oh, well, that's enough of an introduction about me.
Yeah.
Sheila's looking a bit frozen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
Carry on without me, I can see that she says.
Okay. So you got most of the introduction. Most of you know me from somewhere already. I don't think I need to add much to that, really. But would you like to introduce yourself, Kjetil?
Well, yeah, well, I'm just really excited to be here with all of you guys. I can see that I know quite a few of you from before, so I'm just really glad that you're here, everyone, and you know, I feel honored to be here on this. I don't know if I would call it stage, but you know, at least on the internet together with all of you guys. It's such an amazing experience to be able to connect just in all over the world together. So I just feel really deeply honored for that, and I'm looking forward to speak about this topic regarding you know, what we learned so far about sharing the principles, and so hopefully, you know, we'll share more about who we are and what we do and how we do this during our talk, and maybe we come back to Sheila if she wants to say something more when she comes or becomes unfrozen again. So yeah. So yeah, I'm just yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just really thrilled about this topic. I'm thrilled about speaking with Ian as well. Actually, um, one of the first um, uh, three principles seminars that I was on, Ian was one of the mentors in that program. So I just loved to hang out with you, Danny, and so today also I feel I feel inspired about sharing what I have to share about this work that has touched my life so deeply. You know, this understanding is what has changed my life and my career, and you know how I work with people more than anything in my life. So I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to share that, or share, you know, some of what I've seen, and also to be able to do that with you and Ian. That was a part of the beginning of my journey. So I'm just really grateful for that. So maybe you want to start us off.
Yeah, I'll say a few things, and then I'm sure it'll stimulate some further conversation between us. I feel like it's a conversation really among friends, and that
Yeah.
includes all of us. So we'll both share a bit from our own experience, and then we're going to invite and welcome your questions and your comments, your participation. That's always how it is for me. That to me is a key part of sharing this understanding, is that we engage with people, we get curious about how the world looks to them already, and we get interested in what they're interested in. To me, that's a big part of our work. And most of my work, for those of you who don't know me so well, is actually with groups. I probably spend most of my time teaching groups. On the relative scale, I don't do so much one-to-one work. I do a little bit of individual work, which I also enjoy, but I particularly enjoy working in groups. And one of the things that I think probably my first insight when I was learning about this understanding back in the beginning of 2011, the first real insight that I remember, there might have been other ones that were kind of sneaked up on me that I didn't notice, was really an insight about insight. And it was the fact that that's really the only currency of value as far as this understanding is concerned. It's on, as Sid Banks used to say, it's only what you see for yourself. It's only what you realize for yourself that's of any value. And I loved that. When I heard that, I was like, whoa, that's such good news, because I'd already had the experience of people having shifts in their understanding, in their consciousness, when I was speaking with them or working with them. Even going back when I was working as a homeopathic practitioner, sometimes that would happen, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what had happened. I just knew something had happened. I knew it was significant. I knew it was helpful. People would thank me for it. And I'm kind of scratching my head saying, I wish I knew what I did there. So when I heard Sid talk about insight as being the only thing that had transformed his life, he didn't attribute his transformation to anything he'd read or any training that he'd done. It was a spontaneous realization followed by a series of further insights. And suddenly I saw, it's like, yeah, that's so true. That's really the only thing that people need, is to have a realization which enables them to see life from a new perspective. So they get a shift in their level of understanding. And then they tend to know what to do from that place. They don't seem to need much in the way of advice or guidance, because what insight seems to bring is it brings people's own wisdom to life, and they tend to follow whatever makes sense to them, and get further insights along the way. And so for me, it's just fantastic because it's so empowering. And it's not that I don't have to sit there feeling like the expert. So that was the first thing about sharing this understanding that really appealed to me and still does to this day, is that people will often see and hear things that I didn't even say. They'll hear things that I never said, and they'll have realizations that are more profound than what I was attempting to share. And I love it when that happens, because when they start to articulate what they've seen, I find I just become the student for a while. I just get quiet and listen and ask them to say a bit more about that, because it can often happen that people go to a very deep place through their own insight. And I tend to trust that we all get what we need at the time that we need it. So there is, to me, there's something magical about sharing this understanding. We don't, it's kind of unpredictable in the sense we don't know what people are going to realize, but it seems to be always something helpful. And I haven't seen people have realizations that led them on a path of self-destruction or anything like that. It's always so in the direction of health and well-being, and finding some kind of answer to something that person's been grappling with, or whatever they thought the issue was seems to evaporate. You know, this becomes a non-issue. So there is that magical aspect to it. And I don't think that I ever really share the three principles as such. I think the best I feel I can do is I share what I've seen that's been helpful to me, and kind of use that as a springboard, as a pointer, and an invitation to see what the person can see for themselves. And the piece I can't be in charge of is the receptivity of the listener. And that is an important variable, because some people come and are very open and very receptive. They're like a ripe fruit, as it were, just ready to hear something. You don't need to say much at all in that circumstance. Whereas other people, it seems that although they're really willing, they really want to participate in this learning process, and they've maybe seen friends and relatives benefit from it. And sometimes they come and they're kind of really trying to get it. And what I've noticed is that's not so helpful. That tends to get in the way. If we're really trying hard, then we're engaging thought and we're not so open and receptive. So even though we can't be in charge of the receptivity, one thing I've learned about that is that we can influence it to some degree by helping the person to understand something about receptivity, helping to point out what is and isn't helpful, in terms of making yourself more available and improving your listening if a person's willing to hear that. So we can, I like to talk of it as we can swing the odds a little bit. We can make the environment a bit more conducive, a bit more favorable. But mostly it's just about us being relaxed, me being relaxed, cultivating a feeling of ease and natural curiosity, and there being no pressure on me or anyone else, so that we're just going to kind of hang out and explore it together, and being patient. I feel that's one of the most helpful things that I have on my side, is I'm quite patient. I'm okay with hanging out for as long as it takes. And I see other people getting very impatient with themselves often, and I notice that that's not helpful either.
Hmm.
I think we have Sheila back.
Oh, great. I've been in on the phone.
Yes, with us again. Welcome back, Sheila. We're just carrying on without you there.
I was listening. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm just saying a few sort of first things that are occurring to me. Maybe, Kjetil, would you want to add something to that?
Yeah, well, I can echo everything that you said, so there's not much to say. No, I'm just no, I loved what you said, it was just so true. And along the way, I was just reflecting on this a little bit for myself on my own journey through the last 12 years that I've been in this understanding, and exposing myself to getting more insights about this. And something that came to mind earlier today was just that, how I felt in the beginning was I was just really, I hadn't seen much, right? And I but I really liked what I saw, that feeling comes from thought, and I just saw this as a huge um, miracle in a way, comparing it to what I had seen before, and I was so eager, in myself. I wanted people to get this, and I thought also that I had something that I just um, I wanted people to get insights about it, and so I was a little bit needy about that, but also um, eager and needy, and um, and you said patient as well. I think I was a little bit impatient with myself and also insecure of the process in and of itself. So I can remember a lot in the beginning how I tried to give people insights, and coming from this place or state of mind that was pretty full of insecurity, really. Not being really present with people, not really listening to people in the way that so that I could, you know, really understand what's going on with another person. I did not know that, you know, the most impactful thing that I would do was to really listen to someone and also be really present without those insecure thoughts in my head. So I made a lot of mistakes because of this. You know, I remember I was hired into a big business in Norway, and I was working with one of the sales teams and leaders, and we made a difference. You know, they changed a lot, and so the other people in the organization, they wanted to speak with me. And I was in the, okay, I'm just going to give them this insight. So the HR director I was talking to two of the HR people, and and I hadn't discovered the incredible importance of listening and connecting with people and really understanding what's going on for them to see how you can really be of help. I just wanted in my in my ego to show them how good I was, and show them how valuable this was. And I remember maybe 20 minutes into the conversation, and I had just been speaking all the time, and this leader was just his eyes was rolling, and I was like, okay, I got that cue. And the meeting was over, and in a way I was just messing that up so bad. And so I learned something about that. Like, okay, maybe I should start to listen a little bit more. Maybe I should not really um, try to give people insights like that. Maybe I should just step back and really um, not needing to prove myself so much, not needing them to be impressed by me so much, you know? And that was just really helpful for me to see that, oh my God, I'm just pretty insecure here, you know? I want people to like me. I want them to be impressed by me. I want them to get this right now. And all of that feeling that I was coming from then was just not that deep presence, or not that place of love and wisdom that we're trying to help people see. I was not being the change I wanted to see in the world, if I put it like that. So it was just super helpful to see that to really be able to be impactful, you got to be that change. You got to be like, I remember I read in a book once, there was uh, a person who had spoken to two presidents, and the first president, after the conversation, the the person was thinking, oh my God, this guy is the most impressive person I've met in my life. And then she talked to the other president, and this president was very different because he was just being so curious about this person, so curious. And then after that conversation, she was like, oh my God, I feel like the greatest person in the world, you know? So first it was just opposite. And this is for me just really seeing that it's not about being impressive. It's not about knowing everything. It's about seeing other people and listening to them deeply and really understanding, what's going on with them. And, from that place, something shows up inside of yourself. And this is also something that I want to say, because I made mistakes with this. I just sometimes I had these questions, right, that seemed really powerful. Like, because I remember this one time I had this woman that um, I was coaching, and we were in this deep presence together, and question came to mind, and it was just right, and we were both in tears, and it felt like a really deep transformational moment. And then I was like, oh yeah, I got it now. I got the question, I got the question. The next person came in, and I'm just gonna give him this question, and I did. And he was like, so what? You know, he didn't care about the question at all, because I wasn't really listening to my wisdom. I thought that it was um, a strategy, some strategy, or uh, you know, uh, something I would do. But as I've seen this more deeply, I've learned to see that, you got to be willing to go into the unknown with everyone that you're speaking with, and really listen. Listen to understand what's going on with them, but also listen to yourself. What's showing up inside of you in the moment? What is the question that is being dying to be asked? You know, what is it that you see? What is that they don't see? There's so many questions that can come to mind. And I see that when I'm in insecurity, uh, or fear, or, just trying to impress, or having a strategy, or whatever I'm in my head, I'm not going to have that availability for my wisdom to guide me in whatever questions that comes to mind in the moment. So over time, I've just learned to respect the huge importance of clearing my mind, and just being willing to not know what to say. There's so many coaching conversations. I notice my own insecurity of like, oh my God, I don't know what to do now. You know, it just shows up, and then I can see it, and just let it go. And then I can be more commonsensical and wise again. So it seems like um, to be able to have an impact instead of, being impressive in some way, you got to be willing to really be humble, and super curious, and 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 not know where you're gonna go, and just be really open to whatever comes in the moment. Like this conversation now, I don't know. I didn't know what to say. Ian does not. Maybe you know what to say now, Ian. I don't know. Do you know what to say now?
Well, I love that point that you're making there about getting comfortable with not knowing. I think is to me is a requirement for being able to share and have conversations or share with groups, because that is the truth of this, isn't it? We don't know. We don't know what's on people's minds. We don't even know what's on our own mind half the time. How could we possibly know what someone else is thinking? Um, and as soon as you rightly point out, as soon as I think that I know what they need, that's just going to get in the way. and if I try and create a formula for putting across my understanding, that's going to get in the way, because I'm not, I can't have a formula in mind or something that worked before and simultaneously be present and be sensitive to the needs of this individual in this moment. So all of that, you know, anything that we've learned before has to kind of fall away when we're working with someone. We can draw on it though. That's what it's kind of paradoxical, because I think as you do gain in experience, the more you share, the more that you have to draw on. But also what's really happening, I think, is that the more you're just learning to trust that you'll be given what you need when you need it. And for me, that I have quite a good amount of trust in that now with the experience that I've had. And I'm really grateful for that, because that enables me to put myself in situations that maybe I might have been a bit nervous about before. And now I can feel really confident going in, even though I've got no idea what might come out, what I might get asked, what it might arise in me to say. And we've all heard Sydney Banks say, well, it's not in the words. You know, you don't need to worry about getting the words right, because it's not in the words. And if I needed any confirmation of that, it's just yesterday I came back from Bulgaria. I've been sharing this understanding in Bulgaria for more than a decade now. Most of the audience don't understand my English. I certainly don't understand their Bulgarian. I'm working through a translator to a very large group. We had about 300 people in the room this time, and yet somehow they hear something.
Yeah.
And so I think one thing that I've learned to trust in this is that it gets transmitted, as you say, when we're not in the way, when our own mind stuff is not in the way, and we don't have an agenda in terms of, you know, I need this person to get this, or I need I need them to see what I've seen. As long as we don't have anything like that on our mind, we're just in that kind of open presence together. To me, it's just an invitation to explore something together. And I'm just planting seeds in that. As best I can, I'm creating a relaxed environment and I'm planting seeds. And then I'm listening out for what lands for the person, what resonates for them. And I'm pointing out to them that that's what they want to listen for, is not what I'm saying, but they want to listen for what's being touched inside them and what's arising in their own consciousness, because that's going to be the take-home value, you know. And of course, not everybody can hear that, especially at the beginning. They're busy writing down what I'm saying as if that matters. So there is a learning curve around how we listen to this and how we can make ourselves more receptive. And you can kind of see where people are on that learning journey. You know, if people are still trying to get their head around it, you can see that. And I gently point out that won't be helpful, but if they need to do that for a while, that's okay too. You know, I'm not going to steal their notebook and ban them from taking notes if that's what they want to do. But it's always nice when I see someone who's been in that mode, and then at a certain point they just get quiet and they realize, oh, I don't need to be doing that. In fact, it's better if I'm not. And then there's another dialogue happening then between us, which is not happening through the intellect. It's not happening through words. It's more that they're becoming more open and receptive for that, the frequency of this understanding. I think of it in those terms. It's like we're putting ourselves as best we can in a place where we're in touch with our own insight, our own understanding, our own well-being, whatever you want to call it. And then from that place, we're attempting to speak to that place in the listener. At least that's how it looks to me. So I'm speaking from my own well-being. I'm speaking to the well-being. And I've got eyes for the well-being. I've got ears for the well-being. So regardless of whether the person can see that within themselves or not, and regardless of whether I mention that or not, I probably won't often mention that, but that's essentially where I'm sitting. I'm just resting in a place of knowing that they're already okay. They already have everything they need. They've got the same access to universal mind intelligence as I do, and anyone else does. And no matter what state of mind they're currently in, right behind that, they've got access to this deep wisdom that will give them everything they need in this moment. So I'm just kind of sitting there in that, holding up that mirror as best I can, in the hope that they'll get a glimpse of it in their own time. And if they don't, then that's okay too. I just tend to trust the timing of that as well. You know, we can't push the river, and we can't make ourselves ready if we're not quite receptive. But I know that if we keep hanging out for a while, something's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Hmm.
One of the other things I love about group work, but that it's really taught me as well, is that people often have insights when they hear something being shared by somebody else. It didn't come from me. So that there is something in the group dynamic that actually also, to me, really contributes to the work that we're attempting to do. When, you know, in a one-to-one, people are very much focused on their own issue, whatever it is that they're bringing as a challenge or as a problem or whatever. Whereas in a group, I feel like it kind of gets diluted to some extent. So, you know, I might be having an interaction with one person in a group, someone else is listening in a different way because it's not their issue. And actually, that's a better way to listen. You know, they're without realizing it, they're rendering themselves more receptive to hearing something, because they're not listening through the lens of trying to fix themselves or trying to find a solution to their problem. So I feel like we can leverage the group dynamic to make it more likely that people will hear something. I don't know if that's literally true, literally what happens, but my sense is that there is something there when a group gets together with a kind of shared intention. I feel like there is a group field effect that helps us. I don't know if you've seen that, Kjetil, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I have. And I was kind of just stuck on a couple of things that you said, actually. I just found it just, you know, you're just talking truth, Ian. It's beautiful to listen to you. I really appreciate what you're sharing. And I wanted to highlight one of the things that you said. Because I think for so many people who are coming into this understanding, and uh, maybe you're starting out as a coach, or at least a three principles coach. It's really easy to not really trust the process. You know, just what I've seen that has taken so much insecurity of me is that I don't have to, uh, you know, have the most amazing coaching conversation every time where it's like big insights, you know, because I really trust and know that how it's been for me. It's like, you know, this understanding, sometimes you see things like, whoa, it just changed my life, like, wow. And other times it's more like just small drips of water, you know, and eventually it becomes more of solid foundation of what you really see. And if I look at my own journey, that's how it's been for me. And also I've uh, had the fortune or good fortune of working with developing coaches for 6 years now, and having groups where I educate them around this. And I've seen so much difference in a person that has been in this understanding for you know, a few months, or a year, or 3 years, or even 5 or 6 years. It's just, you know, we just see it more and more deeply as long as, you know, we're in the conversation about it. You know, just being in the conversation is what's been the most helpful for me, even though there's been some huge insights in different occasions. it's just the overall staying in the conversation and just in a way learning the language of wisdom or the principles and how it really works and seeing that deeply in your own life and then you know that what the incredible power that we have inside and how it works when you see it in your own life and know that it might take a little while. You know, we might, as Sydney Banks says, jump the boundaries of time as well, and just everything changes. But for most, it seems like it's an is the word incremental. So over time, it just increases. In and as a mentor of the three principles, I just really um, trust that process. So it takes a lot of pressure of myself to have to perform in the moment. I hope that makes sense because I've seen so many coaches just feeling like you have to be good, you know, and have to make a difference in every moment. Um, so it's more like you said, like we're planting seeds and we're just watering them over time in each conversation and as long as we're watering watering the seeds over time, you know, they will grow to beautiful flowers of deep insight. That's at least what feels true for me.
Yeah, me too. And it happens in its own time. You know, that's again something we just have to trust. I'd love to know if we've got any questions. I don't know, Sheila, if you've got anything you want to ask us, or do you want to open it up? And
I would love to open it up. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would love to open it up to everybody. If you have a question, raise your hand or unmute yourself at this point and ask the question. And if you don't want to do that, you could type it into the chat box as well, and I'm happy to read a question out. If you want to stay anonymous, that's fine too. That would, and if not, I can keep nudging you two if you want me to keep to
let's see if anyone's got yeah, someone's got a hand raised. I think it's Claire.
Hi. My question is not so much about the sharing of the principles, but where I get stuck is how to kind of describe it, like in networking and stuff. Like people who want to run a business in this might want to go networking, might want to talk about it online. That's where I get a bit entangled. I've been all over the place with different ways of articulate. You'll see I've got inner critic to inner knowing at the moment. That's kind of where I've landed. But yeah, that's sometimes where I get describing the transformation, I suppose, get a bit stuck around that. Have you two, either of you got, I can see you nodding. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Kjetil?
Yeah, well, I can, no, it's really hard. I have found at least, and I might not see this clearly enough myself, but uh, to try to put words on the formless, it's just like it's not, you know, for me. So I've done just like you. I've just changed it so much, and I'm trying also to look at what is true for me. You know, what has been and is true for my own story, and sometimes I've just needed to try things out and then I see that yeah and then there comes something new and I tried that out and yeah you know so I'm just listening to that to see and testing it out. And I love your inner critic to inner wisdom, by the way. I think that's beautiful. So but still there's um yeah, I'll be honest and say that I'm trying to find the perfect words around this is something that has been just a challenge for me as well. And and also, but it's been just more important for me to show up and share my insights and share what's meant a lot for me. And also, I might see that differently, but I know that a lot of people, there's quite a few people that I've either worked with or that's on my email list here. I can see all of you guys. And I know that you've seen me change so many times. So that's what I can say. Hopefully Ian can say something that could help both you and me, Claire. So
Yeah. Yeah, I loved what you said about trying to wrap the perfect words around it. Yeah, I've been around that block a few times, but also I love what you said about experimentation, that you settle with something for a while and then it suddenly just doesn't make sense anymore. And the inner critic to inner knowing, that's stuck for a little while now. That kind of feels cool, but it could be a week next Tuesday when I go, no, I don't like that anymore. Change it again. And I think that that's the nice place to play, isn't it? With that in the moment sort of direction from our inner knowing, hopefully. Yeah, but Ian, I'd love to know what your thoughts on that are too.
Oh, echoing what has already been said, absolutely. It's my experience also is that we'll never find the perfect words because of the reason that Kjetil already shared. We're trying to describe the formless with words which are in form. And I suppose what helps me is just to know that all forms are temporary. So however good I think I've got it, I know that's not really it. It's at best it's a close approximation, and it's for now. That's exactly how I sit with those things now. If I'm creating a program or giving a talk or doing my website, I just hold the view that this is for now. This is the best way that I can put this across now. And I know that I'm going to change it again and again and again to reflect my own shifts in understanding. And also, I think unless someone's already come across the term three principles, no one's interested in the three principles, right? Per se, what they're interested in is what they're interested in. Maybe they've got a struggle at work. Maybe they're aware of the fact they've got an inner critic that's driving them nuts. In which case, your heading is going to speak to that beautifully, much more. If you put something about three principles, it'll go straight past them. But if you mention inner critic and they're already aware of that, they're going to go, oh, I'm interested in that. And I've done talks where I don't mention anything about three principles. I mention things about anxiety or confidence or I don't know, nerves with exams, or I'll mention anything just to meet people where they are, and as a way of engaging with them. And then once I get them in the room, then I can start sharing the stuff that they didn't know they signed up for, which is where the juice really is. So to me, that there's just the practical aspect of, we call it marketing, I suppose, or presenting what we do. We have to make it relevant to people's genuine concerns as best we can, and also it needs to reflect what you're interested and passionate about. I'm not looking to convert the whole world to this understanding. I'm looking to reach the people who can hear it in the areas that I'm interested in talking about it. So I talk a lot to health practitioners and so on, because that's part of my background, and I can really speak to people at that level. So I really recommend to follow your own interest and your own passion, and not throw that baby out, as it were. Like somehow find a way to dovetail your principles understanding with your own life experience and your own interests.
Yeah, thank you. That was really helpful, both of you. Just the temporary nature of everything, that was really helpful. But yeah, that's what I've done. I had a really loud, horrible inner critic for a long time, and it drove me to burnout in the end. So that's my story. So yeah,
that's it. You can speak to that. Yeah,
it resonates. It feels right at the moment. But yeah, thank you so much, both of you.
That's your question, Claire. Dominic's giving us a wave.
Hey, it seems like it all was expressed in that conversation with Claire. I really resonated with it because early on, I was focused on the three principles. So then I was thinking about how do you say it, or how do you express it, or something like that. And then it's what you all said. It's just what was easier was stop thinking about all that.
Mm.
And it's more like listening within to myself. It's kind of like, what am I so excited about? Like, what is alive for me? What do I want to be talking about? What do I want to be sharing? And then it was simple. Like then it was simple. Like then it was much simpler. I can express, but
Mm.
when I'm trying to express what I should be expressing about the three principles,
Mm.
and am I doing it right? Because if I call it this, does it actually say that, or is that interfering? Now I'm in a lot of thinking, and I'm no longer in the feeling of what's true for me. So yeah, that was really great, Claire. I love the question.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Dominic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Hmm.
Anybody else? Yeah, I love, yeah, it was a great question, Claire. And thank you for your answers. I also love the idea of the temporary nature of we just keep looking at what's true and fresh for us right now. It's like nothing's static. It's all ever changing, as we all are. That's beautiful to know. Yeah, because I know when I originally, well, my website is very old in terms of the writing of it, but yeah, to know that when you're writing some copy or some a website or something, to know that that's just for today, that's really helpful. For me, it would have been really helpful to know that 10 years ago. Just for today.
And there's another part as well, because when we're creating all of this, at least if I'm honest and humble as well, and just look at my own life, where am I creating from? Am I creating from fear of not, you know, or just because I want money or something like that, you know, something that is not really in my passion, or not really in what is the deepest truth for me. And I've seen myself do that many times. I just want to build this business, and I'm fearful that it's not going quickly enough, for example. And as I've seen that, you know, just being honest with myself, and also looking at, why am I doing this? What is really touching my heart with the work that I'm doing, so that I can ground myself more. And I also feel I've been looking at, you know, my business, and seeing that the more I am in that feeling of deep love and passion, and not really thinking about all the personal stuff of my life to be taken care of, if I'm willing to let that go, and just really listen inwards to what is really passionately true for me, you know, clients just show up. It's really true. I've seen this to be true for many years, you know, and I've learned to trust it more, and it just feels so much better, you know, to really create from that space of service, and helping people, and looking at your own story. It seems like we came here and had the challenges that we had in our lives, so that we could help and really deeply understand other people's challenges. So I've just seen, and I'm not going to go into all of my story, because I'd love to take on more questions actually. So I might share more about that, but I'd rather open it up for more questions if there's any more questions or comments, anything.
Muriel has a hand raised. Go ahead, Muriel. Can you unmute yourself? Oh, she disappeared. Ah, there she
No, I'm
she's
back. I'm back. Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Ian.
Hi.
It's not a question. It's more. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. It's not a question. It's more a testimonial in a way. I've trained with you, Ian, years ago in homeopathy. And I remember way before you were involved in 3-piece training that you said, and it really stuck in my mind always, like, it's okay to change your mind. And it's not the same at what we're talking about here, but somehow it came to me because I feel that it gave me permission to not know, you know, and that what's true today may not be true tomorrow or even tonight. It's just in the moment. And I think that when one takes off the pressure of knowing, and as you are both sharing, just to be here listening in presence, miracles can happen. So that's what I wanted to say.
That's so true, Muriel. And what a lovely reminder. Thank you.
Beautiful.
And it's something that we have to see, isn't it? We have to realize that that's how it works, you know. And until we see that, it kind of makes sense to pressure ourselves and think that we need to get it right and all of that. And then at a certain point, you realize, oh, that's not really the most effective way. And also, it renders me uncomfortable. You know, I get to feel nervous and insecure and worried about how I'm coming across and all of that. And as Kjetil was saying, you know, it's so much nicer just to not have that on your mind and not coloring your experience. So we get to relax more and trust more. And it turns out that actually that's more helpful. It's more conducive to the person, for us to be able to listen better and for the person to be able to hear something better within themselves. So yeah, it's lovely that you really saw that, Muriel. Thank you. Anyone else want to ask or anything around the topic of sharing, listening, anything that we've touched on, anything that we haven't touched on? Linda, hi. We'd love to hear from Linda.
Good morning.
Hello. Good
Guys are
afternoon.
great.
Good afternoon
so
from where
much.
I'm sitting.
Yeah. I mean, what occurs to me and my experience, I worked in a bureaucracy, government funding, government money, had to be careful what we say, kind of got all of that. And I just went for it. I just went to the spiritual. Okay. No walking around it, no couching it. And, you know, this is about leadership, anger. No, you just go. And that is where I found the power was. That's our power, is we have an understanding about the spiritual. And that understanding touches, as you guys both said, what's inside of us that also knows what we know. You know, we just, and that can be so much fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm moved to tears. Thank you so much, Linda. That was beautiful and powerful as well.
What I really heard in what we shared there, Linda, was it's where you're speaking from. It's not, you know, again, it's not in the words. It's really connecting with that, what, to use your term, to that, with that spiritual essence of who we are, and then speaking from that place to that in whoever we're with. Is that something like that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's so much fun when you see the light bulb go on. When you see the miracle, I mean, I had a job where I saw the miracles. They walked into my office every day. But Gabriella and I were doing a presentation to the board of directors of a large nonprofit, and we did an intervention or training with some of their students, and I was the evaluator. So I was talking stats, numbers, changes, statistically significant. And then we just kind of drifted into talking about what we did. And one of the board members said, "Do you know what you're talking about?" And we looked at him and said, "Yeah, you're right. You never know who's going to hear what people are going to hear."
Yeah. That's beautiful. I remember having a conversation with Chip Chipman. It's just reminding me of this, because I know Chip did a lot of work with groups in business, and he went into prisons and all kinds of different audiences. And he said something that he really learned from Sydney Banks was, as best he could, to speak to the highest level in the room. Not to tone it down, and to make it always necessarily more palatable or try and get the language right. He said, no, just to really speak to the highest level, as best we can. And that really touched me when I heard Chip share that. I think he really embodied that. I think epitomized it. And again, the results, of his work speak for themselves, as I know your work does. So there's something in that about really trusting that, isn't it? And not trying to dress it up to make it too, what's the word, politically correct or, acceptable or whatever. We can get caught in that, trying to find the right way to put it across.
Yeah, politically correct.
But
I love what you said. You meet them where they're at, then you take them there.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah.
That's it. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I really appreciate you coming on and saying that. So I'm aware of the time. We're at the top of the hour. I know we've got questions coming in the chat.
Now they
Marina with her hand up. So do you want to go on? Can you go on for another 5-10 minutes, or do you need
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
everybody's time here? Okay, so we'll go to Marina, and then I'll read out the questions in the chat.
Sure.
Thank you, Sheila. Hello, everybody. I will be very short. Maybe not common for me, but I will try. I got an answer from your conversation, and this is exactly where Ian was pointing us, that in this group dynamic, you may hear something. So the question was answered by Linda and your interaction. So thank you so much for the magic. It was extremely powerful.
Beautiful.
I love how that
Thanks
works.
a lot.
Even on Zoom, it works.
Absolutely. It would be lovely to have you in the room. But we are going to hug each other on Zoom. It's
Excellent.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina.
So there's.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you want to?
I'll read the question out, and then the people who can't see it. So for the recording, actually, when you are coaching, do you have any examples of what has happened to you that sort of reminds you that you're in your head, in inverted commas, and kind of gets you back to your talking from the heart well-being?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's we are always getting the feedback. So as long as you're paying attention to the feedback, and there's two forms. One is, well, how does it land? If I'm sharing something, I'm looking to see how that lands, whether it's with one person or with a group. And they tell you, not always in words, but they tell you energetically whether what you're saying is resonating for them, or whether they're just going off in their heads somewhere, or whether they're getting puzzled by it, or So I'm just paying attention to that feedback, but I'm also noticing internally how what I'm sharing in the moment. I'm noticing how that actually sits with me as well. I'm listening to that to make sure that I'm not going off into into my own made up nonsense, at least not too much. It's all made up, right? But I want to be sure that I'm sharing from as true a place as I can. And for me, that's just listening to that felt sense within myself. Because I know that if I'm on shaky ground, I'm going to feel that, right? If I'm outside of what I really know, I'm going to feel that insecurity will start to come in within myself. And usually it gets reflected back immediately from the other person. Whereas when I'm sharing from a true place, it tends to land much more readily for the other person. That would be my experience of that.
Mm. Yeah, I can just echo that. You know, I think that was really well put. So beautiful.
I'll go on to the next written question, and I would love to know the struggles you had when you first started. This is to both of you. How you made yourself more available for possible client work, or did you just leave it to divine intervention without any marketing?
Do you want to answer first, Kjetil?
Sure, yeah. Well, I just had, well, I guess divine intervention would be right in the sense of I had a speech someplace, and after me was another speaker, and she had done really well with what she was doing, and as she was doing that, she was speaking about having Facebook Lives, and this was just maybe it was 7, 8 years ago or something like that. And there was just something inside me that, you know, just like, yeah, I would love to do that. You know, I just would really love to do that, because then I could practice my skills, and I committed to doing that every week for a year. I committed that to myself, and just doing that for practice, but also reaching out and sharing myself, and it really actually changed my life, you know, just doing that for a year. There was 3 people listening in the first Facebook Live, and you know, within that year, it was like over 100 people live about every time, and that was just and so, but it started with something. Just I had no plans like, okay, how is this going to build my business and so on. It just really felt so alive inside of me. So that was one of the things that yeah, made me reach out in another way. I did a lot of other stuff too, but that was the one thing that I'll share now, that was something that was from this true space inside me, this divine space.
Nice. I remember when I was fortunate to train with Mark Howard and Kathy Casey, and my background was, a big part of my background was in training. I trained a lot of homeopaths to be practitioners, so I was always running training groups and mentoring and stuff like that. So that was the first thing that I saw that I could do with this understanding. It's like, oh, I could share this with groups, you know. And most of my peers who I was training with, they were all looking to build one-to-one individual practices. That wasn't on my radar at all. In fact, I couldn't even imagine how to do that. So I didn't. I just left that alone at first. So, but I knew how to run groups and do trainings. So I remember just saying to Kathy, you know, I'd love to train people in this. She's like, what are you waiting for? So I just went off and started training people. Literally. I mean, that's where I started. I started with groups and workshops, and then turned them into trainings. And then on the back of that, people start asking me, you know, would you do one-to-one work? As well, I suppose I could. I didn't ever go marketing myself as a coach or as an individual practitioner. That just came sort of further down the line because people were interested to work that way. So there was again that kind of organic flow to it, and me just doing the bit that made sense to me at the time. That was my interest and my passion. And I think as long as you kind of tune into that and don't put too much attention on what everybody else is doing, I think that's a big trap. You know, you start looking around it as if there's some magic formula for how to get going with this. It's much better to check in with yourself and say, what actually do I feel like doing? What would be fun for me?
Yeah,
That's the way I was looking at it.
beautiful.
Wow. So much gold in this, like golden nuggets, one after the other. I'd have to re-listen to this. So, Ivan, final quick question, comment?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Kjetil, and hi, Ian.
Hi.
I was a little bit late, but okay. And I have a kind of follow-up question from Erin's question on the chat. Sharing the principles, it has happened to me that I have answered, and when I hear my answer, I wonder, where did that come from? I want to hear your take on it.
Yeah, that's the best, isn't it? To me, that's the best thing. When you get out of your own way, then you receive, literally, it feels to me like we receive what we need in the moment, and it's as fresh for us as it is for anyone else.
Yeah,
and that's beautiful when that happens.
and I can say every time it feels the right answer.
Yeah,
it's never any arguments about the answer, or from me, from my inside. Okay, that was perfect for this case. Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And I really think that you're exactly on to what we're all looking for in this life, to see more deeply and to trust more deeply, that wisdom inside, and really get to know it intimately so that we can trust it, you know. And it seems to be really true what they say, that when you find that space, you can never go wrong in life, as long as you see it, trust it, and you know, take action from that place in your life. So yeah, it's a really beautiful thing, and and it's a thing that helps us, people like me that used to be like so full of overthinking, trying to figure everything out, and just really seeing that there's another way of being in life. I can just, it's a really good reason to not overthink at all, because if I don't, I clear my mind, and I can get access to this wisdom in a much more profound way. So
yeah. And it, for me also, just from a purely selfish point of view, it's the best experience, isn't it? As a, you know, as a teacher, or as a practitioner, as a coach, if you can actually just have that trust and just be open, like Ivan describes, and then you're surprised and delighted at what comes through you. And it's also beneficial for the people that you're working with. Well, that's a win-win, isn't it? It benefits everyone. You're not in danger of burning out as a practitioner, because on the contrary, you're going to be energized by your work. You're going to be enthusiastic about your work.
yeah.
It's not going to take a heavy toll on you. So to me, it's a beautiful way to be in relationship to this work, I think. You see yourself as a vehicle, you know, as a vessel, not as the source, but a vehicle for the source to work through you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, it's such a beautiful call. I don't want to end it in a way, but we have to say thank you so much, Kjetil and Ian, and everybody who's been here with us. So, as I said at the top of the call, I got my sound cut out, my video cut out, and I just thought, okay, I'm listening. Universe does not want intros for these two men, and they did not need intros. They carried themselves beautifully throughout the call. I really, really appreciate your time and sharing with us so beautifully. And really looking forward to hanging out with you in Spain, here where I live. in November for the
Yeah.
Viva event. Yeah. So, and I know there's quite a few of you here on the call that have already signed up, and look forward to seeing you all there. And to say this will go out as a recording, and we have the Viva YouTube channel where you can find lots and lots of recordings of past online and in-person sessions. We invite you to that. Actually, before we go, would you two like to share with people how they can get to find you individually? Maybe Kjetil, you go first. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Well, I think the easiest way is to either be on my email list. You can find that, and I'll put it out, and just my link to my website. So it's in the chat now. Or you can like my Facebook page or follow me on YouTube. So wherever you prefer.
Great. Thank you. And Ian?
Yeah, I'm just typing my website address in the chat as we speak. There we go. theinsightspace.com. That's the best place to find me. And people can contact me through the website if they wish. And I also still use Facebook. So some of you, I know I'm connected with you there already, but if I'm not, you're welcome to track me down on Facebook as well. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Sheila. Lovely to connect with you all. And yeah, hope to see at least some of you at Viva in November, and looking forward to see you there, Sheila, and you, Kjetil, as well.
Yeah, likewise. And
Thank you.
Take care.
Just last thing to say, just have fun with everyone sharing this understanding. That's it. Just have a lot of fun, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. See
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.